Well, repo men have dynamic and sometimes dangerous jobs. The human resource director at an Albuquerque hotel appeared in court, accused of attacking one of them over a luxury car. 51-year-old Cassandra Gore faced a judge yesterday. Police say last month at the Hotel Cascada on Carlisle and I-40, two repo men showed up to repossess her BMW. But according to court documents, she came outside and started punching and scratching the repo man in the face. When he showed her the paperwork, he says Gore ripped it up and told him he didn't have paperwork anymore. The man says Gore got into her car and pinned him between the wall and her car, trying to leave. The repo man says Gore almost hit him as she sped off.
Ms. Gore, here's what's going on. Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. One of my colleagues already reviewed the complaint, found probable cause, and set your bond in the amount of $1,000 cash for surety.
Hotel employees tell us Gore still works there. Court documents show Gore believes she was victimized and wanted to press charges herself. Police say the credit company has been trying to repossess her car since she hasn't made payments since 2013. Well, 3 people have been forced out of their home due to a fire, but one neighbor says it could have been worse.
And they were here as fast as can be. I mean, props to the AFD.
How you doing?
AFD says Friday night an electrical fire started up in the attic of the home on New Hampshire near Comanche in Wyoming. The damage forced the people who lived there to leave, but they were not hurt. Crews watched the fire overnight to make sure it did not start up again because some areas were smoldering Friday night. No more water woes for people in the city of Rio Rancho. The tap is okay to drink. The city had issued a voluntary boil water request on Monday, but it's now been lifted. A well pump failed in the area west of 10th Street near Northern Boulevard, and the city asked residents to use caution. But you can now cook with and drink the water without boiling it. A cave in Carlsbad Caverns National Park is reopening after repairs to a trail with flood damage. The Carlsbad Current-Argus reports Slaughter Canyon Cave has been closed to visitors for months, but it's back open now. Flooding last fall damaged the half-mile trail to the cave entrance. Officials say Slaughter Canyon Cave has large formations, one of which is taller than any in the main caverns. New Mexico cops have been showing off their motorcycle skills in the first ever Jermaine Casey Invitational. Yesterday, teams of officers maneuvered their motorcycles around the orange cones as fast as possible. The money raised goes to the Special Olympics, and they are also paying tribute to fallen officer Jermaine Casey of the Rio Rancho Police Department. Officer Casey was riding in the presidential motorcade for President Bush in 2007. He was killed after losing control and crashing his motorcycle near the Sunport. People are paying their final respects to Kayla Mueller, the Arizona woman killed in Syria by Islamic State militants. Family and friends held a memorial service to honor the life of the 26-year-old humanitarian worker yesterday. They celebrated her life through song, reflections, and memories, and even Kayla's own words. Her parents read the letter Kayla wrote to them while in captivity.
I have been shown in darkness light, and have learned that even in prison one can be free. I am grateful. I have come to see there is good in every situation. Sometimes we just have to look for it.
People who attended the service were given packets of wildflower seeds and were invited to spread them in Kayla's honor. Tensions are running high in Madison, Wisconsin after a police officer shot and killed a 19-year-old black man overnight Friday. The police chief says investigators are still working the case, but initial findings show the man did not have a gun. Officers first responded to reports of a man dodging in and out of traffic. They say he was also a suspect in an assault. Now, the mother of the man who was killed is demanding answers. Christine Barbaresi reports.
He was our caretaker and so gentle. I don't understand this.
Andrea Irwin describes her son, Tony Robinson, as a football fanatic and family-oriented, the oldest of all his siblings.
He was their everything. And not only was he their older brother, but he was a father figure to them too.
Saturday night, family and friends gathered at Andrea's home, all of them waiting for details about the altercation with police and the investigation now in the hands of the Department of Criminal Investigation. Andrea says she can't understand what could have led to the shooting death of her son by a police officer.
My son has never been a violent person, never. And to die in such a violent way it baffles me.
Andrea, who rushed to the hospital when a family friend told her Tony was shot, says so far she's not been able to see her son. She says she needs to say goodbye.
I want to hold my baby. I want to just let him know that I'm there because he's alone and he needs me. My son was my life. I had him when I was 17 and we grew up together.
That was Christine Barbaresi reporting. The officer was identified as 45-year-old Matt Kinney. He has more than 12 years of experience with the department. He was treated for a head injury and released. Well, protests continued in Los Angeles yesterday over the deadly shooting of a homeless man on Skid Row. About 100 people marched against police tactics they say have ended in officer-involved shootings. The demonstration, dubbed Justice for Africa, was for a Cameroon national known as Africa. The 43-year-old's death was caught on cell phone video, prompting outrage in the city. The LAPD chief has asked for patience as independent investigations by the DA's office are completed. A new report found billions of dollars in state funds are sitting there unspent. The state auditor's Government Accountability Office completed the first money on the sidelines report. They found $4.5 billion across more than 700 accounts in state agencies is unspent. That's money for things like road work, schools, and clean water. State Auditor Tim Keller says it's up to lawmakers to decide what to do next.
Our purpose is just to shine a light on the dollars, and you know, the policymakers and so forth, it's really theirs to decide, and the public's to decide if the number is too big or too small.
The state auditor plans to track state spending each year. He wants to do the same thing with cities and counties. You can read the report on KRQE.com. Well, traffic is back to normal this morning after being cut down to one lane when a horse became trapped. APD says someone was riding the horse over the Montano Bridge yesterday when the animal got its foot stuck in a cement hole. A vet arrived on scene. However, the horse had to be put down. No word on whether or not the rider was injured. The road has since reopened. Bernalillo County Sheriff's deputies are investigating a stabbing that happened around noon yesterday at a Trisco near Bridge. Deputies aren't releasing much information, just saying the victim required hospitalization. We will update you as soon as we learn more. Albuquerque firefighters are still looking into what sparked a fire at an apartment complex. When AFD crews responded yesterday, they say they saw heavy black smoke and flames coming from the roof on an apartment on Osuna near San Pedro. They evacuated it. They say 2 adults and 3 kids were still asleep in the apartment below, but were able to get away from the blaze in time. No one was injured. And state police are investigating a fatal semi-truck crash. They say a truck driver was killed on Eddy County Road 2 just south of Loving overnight Saturday. Police say Daniel Rosenberg was driving the truck when he came to a curve, drove off the shoulder and rolled the semi. The 60-year-old from Scottsdale, Arizona, died on the scene. A bill that will strengthen penalties for possessing child porn is moving forward to the Senate. The House passed the measure yesterday. According to the state Supreme Court, anyone caught with the illegal images can only be charged with 1 count, even if they have hundreds of pictures. The bill would count every image as 1 count. Santa Fe police arrested 4 drivers during a DWI checkpoint in honor of 2 sisters killed by a repeat drunk driver.
This in reference to the Peshka family a few years ago that their children were killed in a tragedy during a drunken driving incident.
5 years ago, Deshauna and Daylin Peshlakai were on Cerrillos Road when James Ruiz slammed into them, killing both girls. The sisters were just 17 and 19 years old. Ruiz was out on bond for his 5th DWI arrest when he killed them. He's now serving 40 years in prison. Friday night, police say they busted 3 people for driving under the influence and 1 person for a revoked license. Today's your last chance to experience some of the country's hottest foods all under one roof. Thousands attend the Fiery Food and Barbecue Show every year. Now in its 27th year, it's drawing in guests with more than 200 booths, each one filled with more than 1,000 unique chili products. That includes everything from jerky to salsa to jam. The show fires up again this morning starting at 11 at the Sandia Resort and Casino. Admission is $15. Almost a dozen possible Republican candidates for president in 2016 traveled to Iowa this weekend to talk politics and agriculture. CBS News correspondent Steve Chigueras reports from the forum in Des Moines, Iowa.
Iowa was once again ground zero for potential Republican presidential candidates Saturday at a forum focused on farm policy. It was a debut of sorts for one.
Please welcome former governor of Florida, Jeb Bush.
This was former Florida Governor Jeb Bush's first visit to the state as he considers a run for the White House. But he reminded Iowans that he's no stranger.
I learned a lot by campaigning for my dad and for my brother, and I learned a lot about Iowa as well.
Despite his pedigree and his expected huge pot of campaign money, Bush has a lot of work to do if he wants to succeed here.
Bush fatigue is real, and I think it's really the first hurdle. It's part of the getting to know him as an individual.
9 potential candidates attended Saturday's forum, including a favorite in Iowa, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker.
If you're able, and there's jobs out there, we're going to help you get back on your feet again, because we expect that out of each and every one of our fellow citizens.
The candidates are beginning to jockey for support, even though the first votes are still 11 months away. Steve Chigueras, CBS News, Des Moines, Iowa.
All the potential candidates were quizzed on their knowledge of agriculture. Iowa produces more corn, soybeans, pork, and eggs than any other state. Well, today marks 1 year since Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 disappeared on a trip from Malaysia to Beijing. The first comprehensive report on the mystery into the flight's disappearance was released this morning. It shows the battery of an underwater locator beacon expired more than a year before the plane vanished. It's unclear whether it would have been fully functional when the plane was lost. Leaders from Australia, Malaysia, and China are planning to meet next month to discuss the search efforts. They remain cautiously optimistic about finding the plane.